Hello on the Daily Fam, and welcome back to this show. On this episode, I am going to recap the incredible time I just had in Costa Rica for the Break the Matrix retreat. And yes, it may be like, oh, she's just creating FOMO. I'm 100% doing that. But I also want to share some like really rad takeaways from that week that I think are going to benefit all of us in terms of how we think about healing and like, trauma release and also like sisterhood and girlhood. And so I hope that you tune in. Before we get into this episode, I have to tell you that Black Friday is coming back. And if you have been here for a while, you know that there are 2 times a year that my business goes hard. And it is Black Friday and the 12 days of D, which are the 12 days leading up to my birthday in December. But in this episode, we are talking about Black Friday. It starts next week. And there will be a few very big things on the platter for you to choose from. And I want to make sure that you're in the know. And I want to make sure that like, if you've been looking for a way to work with me, whether it be for business support or even just like the subconscious rewiring, human design and astrology work that I do, both of these things are going to kind of be like on the platter for us. And so I want to make sure that you get the first dibs. So if you're not on my newsletter, you need to go to my website, daniellemccleary.com, and you'll get prompted to join the newsletter so that you're first on the wait list, either for Break the Matrix, which is my subconscious rewiring program, return to personal power program, which includes human design and includes astrology and the deconditioning process. That is coming back. And the retreat to Costa Rica is coming back as well. And we're going bigger. So make sure you're on the wait list. You can go to daniellemccleary.com/breakthematrix to get on the wait list for that. That's the only way that you're going to get early access to early bird pricing, to retreat bundle, is if you're on the wait list. So you want to make sure that you're on the wait list for that. And then Scale to 6, which is my business accelerator. So if you are scaling a business to like kind of that multi-six-figure threshold, and you're not looking to do it the way that we've always built businesses, which is like grind yourself into the ground and like hopefully you don't die, but like from a more energetically sound place where, business feels good, life feels good, your energy feels good, and you're also really connected to your purpose, this program is for you. And I have a big surprise for anyone who joins me with Black Friday coming up. So make sure you're on the wait list for those. Make sure that you're subscribed to my email newsletter. And I am so excited for you to find out what we're doing. All right, let's get into this episode. So a few weeks ago, I took 11 incredible women to Tamarindo, Costa Rica, and rented the most gorgeous, it was like 15,000 square foot mansion on a hill with 3 infinity pools and the views for days, a full-time staff, private chef, to culminate Break the Matrix, which, if you don't know, Break the Matrix is my return to personal power program. It's my signature program, all about deconditioning, rewiring the subconscious mind, neurolinguistics programming, human design, somatic healing. It's my program for that, and we launch it twice a year. So the last round ended, and at the end of it, we culminate the experience by going on a retreat. And so we did that, and there were 11 incredible women there, and we had the most fun ever. I mean, first of all, you walk into this house, and I told the women who run the property, who are the property managers for the house, and I said to them, the pictures you guys have of this house do not do it justice, because you walk in and it's an indoor-outdoor living space, so everything is indoor-outdoor. It's just so airy. And, one of the things that I really loved about this home, which I want to bring this up because energetics is so important to me. Have you ever stayed in an Airbnb that was literally like built to be an Airbnb? No one's ever like lived in it. It feels different. Like the energy feels a little bit more sterile I think. And then you walk, so you take that kind of experience, and then you take the experience we had where you walk into this home, and the person who built the house and owns the house actually lived there with his wife, and they raised their kids in that house. So it is like so family oriented. The staff that works there full time is like a mother and daughter and a father and son, and they literally like they run that home. It's like they've been running that home for years. And so the energy of that house just feels so connected, and it feels so much like family, which was so cool. And so you walk in and like your breath is literally like taken from your body, just all the air was removed from my lungs, and I just like started crying because it was just the most beautiful home I've ever seen. And I got to host these magical women here who had just gone through Break the Matrix, which Break the Matrix is, I think, one of the most important programs that you could be taking in this day and age. And that's not just me tooting my own horn. That's saying like the type of work that Break the Matrix has is the most important work I think people could be doing right now. On themselves. And so these women had just finished this 5-month experience of going through Break the Matrix, where you have to confront the parts of yourself you don't like. You have to go through your shadows. You have to look at all of your conditioning and all of your programming. And it's almost like taking off the rose-colored glasses that you've always seen the world through. You have to take those off, and you have to really face the parts of yourself that you're maybe not that into, that maybe it's like, it's a little bit hard to look at. That's what this program was. And then through the lens of human design and astrology, we're able to kind of realize who we are underneath it all, right? Like if you cleaned out a closet and you took out all the boxes, what does that closet look like with no boxes in it? That's essentially what this program is designed for. And there's so many people that are living a life according to other people's expectations. We're making choices based on what other people think of us. We're dressing a way that we think other people are going to be impressed by. We're thinking and we're making choices based on what we think other people want from us. And I am so not about that. And so this program really deconditions that. And that can be painful, right? It can be uncomfortable. Of course, it can be uncomfortable. And then when you add in the somatic healing on top of it, the unlearning from a cerebral perspective, but then when you take that into the body and you move through some of these really stuck, stagnant emotions through your body, through whether it be breath work or tapping or ecstatic dance or rage release or yoga or meditation, when you somatically move these things through the body and transmute them into light energy, that doesn't always feel good in the moment. Sometimes it can be really uncomfortable to put yourself out there and kind of, it's almost like the visual I get is this like a warrior, right? Like a Sparta. Like if you've ever seen 300, I don't know why I'm thinking of 300. I watched it recently, and like they all have so much armor on, and it's like the process of going through Break the Matrix is almost like allowing yourself to take off the armor and trust that you're going to be okay. That's really hard. That's not easy work to do. So these women had just finished that, right? They got human design certifications. They learned about astrology. They tapped into their unconscious self. They rewired the neural pathways in their brain that told them to care about what other people think or made them believe that they weren't good enough. Like they rewired all of that on a physical and cellular and cerebral level, and then got to go to Costa Rica and like integrate it all and anchor it all in. And it was crazy because we had a lot of discussions. That was part of the retreat experience, is that, there were a couple days where we would sit and we would talk and we would really like tap in and check in with each other and see like, how are you feeling? Like how does your body feel being here? And, the common response was, I didn't know what to expect when I got here. And there was this like belief that, there were going to be moments that were really uncomfortable, and we were going to do like a lot of like rage release and things. And I'm not saying that I wasn't against doing that. I'm very intuitive when it comes to me hosting retreats in the spaces that I curate. And I am very good at tapping into what that group needed. And what this group needed was to play. What this group needed is to be away from all of the things that we're able to distract ourselves with in our everyday life. So a lot of the times people don't heal and they don't address the trauma or the programming that they have because they have kids and they have jobs and they have to go to soccer and they have to pick up from cheer and they have to make dinner for their families and they're big in their communities and all that is great and it's necessary, and I do the same thing for my son. But what people don't realize is that sometimes those things just distract you from actually tapping into yourself. And, my tagline is, when you know yourself, you win. And if you can't tap into yourself, then you don't know yourself. And if you don't know yourself, then you're always going to wear this armor that's not even yours to carry. And so watching these women kind of be undistracted, right? They didn't have kids to take care of. They didn't have partners to tend to. They didn't have meals to make because all of the meals were being prepared for them. We had the staff did their laundry. We curated the schedule. So they didn't have to even think about what they were going to do that day. They're just getting there and we're saying, this is what we're doing today. And my wife produced the whole event. And it was like, I'm so grateful that she did that because she's so good at curating an experience, And so for the first time for some of these women, they truly had no one to worry about except for themselves. And that alone was really uncomfortable. I had one of my clients who said, I'm having a really hard time getting grounded here. And that's not what I expected. And I'm like, well, yeah, because the expectation is based on the reality that you're living, which the reality that you're living when you're home is like kids, partner, job, dinner, sports drop-offs, etc. And so you're not thinking about it from a different perspective because you've never been in that perspective. But then you get here and you strip away all those other things and like the magic that can ensue when you're truly worried about you and only you. So that was really cool to witness. And I think I obviously it was the first time hosting an international retreat ever. Yay me, like hosted my first international retreat. But also I didn't know what to expect. And that was a big takeaway for me is like, oh, what this experience is. And I knew that something big was going to come from it. When I decided to do a retreat at the end of this, because I could have just easily taught the program and then like let people go on their way. And there were people that did the program that didn't come to Costa Rica, which again, I said this a lot to all the women that were in Costa Rica with me. I'm like, y'all are the real ride or dies because obviously I had never hosted a retreat in Costa Rica before. I had never even been to this part of Costa Rica before. I had never seen this house. I didn't know what to expect. I was literally just like, well, it's going to be great. The vibes are going to be awesome. And we're going to have a great time. And there were like 11 women that were like, okay, like sight unseen, like, let's go to Costa Rica. And I'll never forget that first group because they really like trusted me so blindly, which I know is a testament to me, but it's also a testament to them. And it's a testament to the type of intuition that they have and how deeply they trust their own intuition. But there were people that didn't come to Costa Rica that will have the opportunity to come to Costa Rica next time. And that to me was the biggest takeaway, that the experience of the retreat at the end of that 4 to 5 month program is integration, and it's also stripping away all of the distractions that we usually put around ourselves so that we don't have to go that deep. Because even these women that had done all this work and had gone so deep into their subconscious mind still were presented with even more layers to uncover. And it was just really, really beautiful to witness. And another one of the girls was like, I thought we were going to be doing more like rage release stuff and like having like more emotional moments. And I just kind of laughed and I said, you've been doing that for 5 months. Like now it's time to play. Like healing doesn't always have to be like rip my heart out and leave me crying on the floor. It is like that sometimes. For sure. I'm never going to take away the dark night of the soul. I think it's the most necessary part of the journey, of the awakening process, of the healing process, the rewiring process. I think it's the most important part, but it's not the only part. And the other part is like learning to play again. And one of the things we did was go ride ATVs and do zip lining through the jungle of Costa Rica. And we're not talking like the hotel sponsored, like a hotel sponsored ATV ride that's really just like a tour. We're talking like we went through this river where the water literally came up to our seat, and we're in the middle of this river riding ATVs in crocodile infested waters, like mud all over the place, just like with these like cowboy kids that, it was this whole area was like ran by one family. And so like it's definitely like the wild brothers that run the ATV tours. And of course we're all like cute American girls who like I speak enough Spanish, and I was like, we don't want to take the easy way. Like we want to go through the mud. We want it to be a little dangerous. Like a little bit of danger is what we're here for, sir. And he was like, okay. And he like kept calling me like chica loca. And I'm like, you have no idea. Like I am that girl. Like you have found the right girl. And we finished and I said, sometimes healing your inner child, reconnecting with your inner child is going ATV riding through like crocodile infested rivers in Costa Rica. Because think about it, when you're a kid, you don't have fear. You're not like, oh my gosh, am I going to get eaten by a crocodile today? Am I going to get dirty? What if my shoes get wet? Like you don't have those thoughts. You're a kid. You're just like, let's go. And then you let your parents figure it out for you later. And so actually being able to tap into that energy together was so special and so magnificent. And there were so many laughs, like the laughs that came from my belly that day. It was literally 5-year-old Danielle, just full of so much joy. And it was just such a testament to like healing doesn't always have to feel awful. Like healing can also be fun. It can also feel like riding ATVs through crocodile infested waters without a care in the world. It can also be like zip lining with like this stranger who like tells us it's safe and being like, okay, here we go. And it was, obviously it was safe. It was like, we didn't just like find a random person. It was a reputable company, but still like, there were a couple girls that were very scared of heights. My wife was one of them, like very scared of heights, had never ziplined before, very terrified to do it. And she did it and healed something in herself that day. And everybody just came back so much closer. And I think the final takeaway that was really big for me, and especially if you're listening to this, considering coming with us next year, we are going bigger. There's 2 houses on the property that are just as like they're the most beautiful home. I mean, they're the most beautiful houses I've ever seen. If you want to see what they look like, you can go to daniellemcclary.com/breakthematrix and you can like see what we're working with. But they're literally the most beautiful houses. So we're going bigger. We're opening up for more capacity, but it's still going to feel so intimate and so amazing. We're still going to do family dinners at the main house. Like we're going to do all the things. But if you're considering this, the other thing, one of the other big takeaways that I think is really important to mention is that sisterhood and girlhood is so magical. It is one of the most magical things, and it's something that we are not taught, right? We're taught to compete with one another. We're taught to close ourselves off because women can be catty and women can be bitchy. And that could not have been farther from the truth in this experience. And I think what it really did is it taught some of these women to break their walls down, to not need to protect themselves so tightly, but to actually let people in and to really trust and love on one another. And I know for me, I mean, I have motherhood wounds that run deep. And so sisterhood, motherhood, girlhood, all of it is kind of wrapped into one. And I have always kept myself really guarded. And to really be in this space with these women, we did this really beautiful cacao ceremony and sound bath under the full moon in Aries with, her name was Maya. She's a 7th generation Honduran shaman, like the most amazing experience. And we all connected to one another in such a powerful way. And that is what these retreats are about, right? It's not just about like being bougie and being in this like $15 million or 15,000 square foot, $20 million house. It is part about that. Like there are definitely bragging rights, and the content was contenting trust, but it goes so much deeper than that. And it's something you really can't describe until you feel it. And so I hope if you're considering coming with us that you do. I hope if you're considering Break the Matrix, you actually do put yourself in it. I think the work that's done in Break the Matrix is more important than getting business support. And I'm a business coach, so I'll say that with a full chest. If you have not done the work of Break the Matrix, don't get business support until you do that, because when you know yourself, you win. And tapping into who you are underneath all the layers and rewiring all those neural pathways that say you're not good enough, that keep you stuck, that keep you comparing yourself to other people on the internet. If last week, leading up to last week, your nerves were shot because your central nervous system was so overcome and absorbing all of the energy around you from the election, and you literally couldn't even work because you felt the energy of everyone around you, that means you're disconnected from you. That means you're still acting from a place of programming and trauma, and that is not healthy. And Break the Matrix teaches you how to move through that in a really powerful and beautiful way. So I hope that if you're considering Break the Matrix, that you join us in the program. But I also hope that if you do break the matrix, or if you have done Break the Matrix, you culminate the experience with us in Costa Rica, because if I could make it mandatory, I would. Obviously I can't, but if I could make the retreat mandatory, I would, because I don't think it's the same experience without that. And these women will all be back next year. They're all going to come to the retreat next year, and they're sisters now. I mean, they're connected, and that's so important. Girlhood is so important. Healing your inner child in ways that you didn't think were possible is important. Integrating in a distraction-free environment where you don't have to think or plan anything is important. And those are my 3 biggest takeaways. Not to mention just being in that house and normalizing that type of experience for ourselves was really powerful as well, from a wealth energetics perspective. So I know you're getting really excited, me talking about this. So the waitlist is opening soon. It will be open in a week. And so if you're on the waitlist for Break the Matrix, you will get first dibs. And Black Friday will be the time you get the best price on all of it. We're going to give you the opportunity to save about 50% on the course itself and get some other freebies and incentives and things included if you join us at Black Friday. And the payment plan is really extensive and it can be 10 months long. So there's plenty of time to pay it off. And it's just all the stars are saying yes, everything's aligning, and I'm really excited about it. So if you're wondering about Costa Rica, that's what it was like from my perspective. And I'm just really grateful to all the women that said yes. If you have any questions about Break the Matrix or anything else that I offer, you can always come to me on Instagram, Danielle_on the daily. I also wanted to shout out, I noticed a few people had written some reviews and left 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. I'm so grateful for that. I have big dreams for this podcast. I think there's a part of me that sees people like Alex Cooper and Joe Rogan and these people that have just built these incredible platforms. And I'm I want to do that. And this show is on its way there. And I know it can't be done without those reviews, without those kind words. And so if you have ever left me a review, written a review or given a 5-star review, I'm so grateful for you. And if you feel so compelled, you can go to Apple Podcasts and go to my show, scroll to the bottom, you'll see where you can write a review, leave a review, and I would be so grateful. It's how I grow this show, and it would be really doing me a huge solid, and I read every single one. So on that note, I'll see you next week. Love you.